What happens when you combine an apple betty and a cinnamon roll? You'll not only learn how to make this amazing treat, but also uncover 3 key kitchen techniques that can be applied in countless ways. An enriched dough, an easy filling, and to top it off, a crumb topping. You know, top it off, crumb topping. These are gonna come together for a unique twist on 2 classics. We'll reveal a secret ingredient that makes these treats extra gooey and extra delicious. Let's dive in. First up, the heart of our Apple Betty Cinnamon Bomb, the irresistible filling. Choosing the right apple variety can make a world of difference. So pick apples that hold their shape and texture when cooked, like Granny Smith or a Honeycrisp. Honeycrisp. And check out our link in the description for the best apple peeler. Slice them using an oversized knife. Oversized knife is just my preference. Or an apple core. Next, chop the apple slices into small cubes and toss them in a pan. Now it's time to season these beauties. Add cinnamon, nutmeg, cloves, and some brown sugar. Be sure to pack the brown sugar tightly. We want to hold it shaped like this. And to keep things from getting too watery, sprinkle in some cornstarch to thicken the juice. We're gonna cook this over a medium heat and add butter, vanilla, and heavy cream. You may be wondering, what's the difference between an apple betty and an apple pie? Well, here's a quick rundown. Apple pies, they have a pastry crust like a pie shell. Normally the apples are sliced inside, although sometimes they're chopped, and it's served by the slice. On the other hand, an apple betty doesn't have a pastry crust on the bottom. It has a sweet crumbly topping, so no crust on the top either, and more often chopped apples inside and served in a scoop or portions like a casserole. While the apples are on the stove, they only need your attention occasionally, cooking only for about 8-ish minutes. We want them tender, not mushy. With the filling simmering to perfection, it's time to switch gears and create the canvas for our masterpiece, the dough. In a mixing bowl, combine the flour, the sugar, and the yeast. I'm using the instant yeast so that we don't have to activate it. And salt. Give it a good whisk and set it aside. Now let's prepare the wet ingredients. In a measuring cup, mix together the buttermilk, the honey, the vanilla, and a chunk of butter. Pop it in the microwave for 30 seconds at a time until the butter is all melted. While that's warming up, let's add the room temperature eggs to our flour and give it a stir. Now combine your wet and dry ingredients. You can do this by hand, but I prefer using a stand mixer. If you got one, use one. If you're doing it by hand, you're gonna have those buff arms, like Rosie Riveter. Knead with a dough hook for 8 minutes. Make sure to scrape the sides to ensure every bit is perfectly incorporated. Now let's not waste any time. While this is mixing, let's create that cinnamon filling. In a clean bowl, mix together brown sugar, softened butter, but not melted, and a hefty sprinkle of cinnamon. Yum, I love cinnamon. Incorporate the ingredients with a spoon. If your butter is cold, you might need to put in a little extra elbow grease to get that paste-like consistency that we're looking for. Back to our dough that has been patiently waiting. All right, so it is a sticky dough, but I could touch it and the dough isn't sticking to my hands. It's time to roll up our sleeves, quite literally. Hey, mine are already done, and get to work. Dust those countertops and your hands. Using a bench scraper, work the dough into a ball. And voila! You've got yourself a beautiful elastic dough ready to rise. We're gonna place this in a bowl and let it rest for 10 or 15 minutes. While our dough is resting, we're gonna grease our casserole dish with some butter and we're gonna prepare our special crumb topping. For the crumb topping, we're gonna combine flour, white sugar, brown sugar, cinnamon, salt, and butter. Mix it by hand until you achieve a crumbly consistency. And make sure there's no visible butter bits, and it should hold together when you give it a squeeze. All right, now it's time to put it all together. Roll out your dough, and you're gonna aim for about the size of 12 inches by 24. If it sticks to the surface, add a bit more flour. Ensure your dough is evenly thick. Spread that delicious Cinnabon filling on half of the dough using an offset spatula. No need to measure, but if you're meticulous, go for it. Slice the dough with a pizza roller and lay it on top of the filling. Stretch as needed. Roll it a bit more to get it as close to perfection as you'd like. Now cut it into squares. 3 by 4 should do the trick. Add the cooled apple filling to the center of each square. You're gonna have to judge this. If you overstuff it, it's gonna be hard to close, but don't be stingy either. Time to get your hands dirty. Pinch, fold, and add those beautiful details. Place the prepared creations in a casserole dish, and here's a trick. Turn your oven on to about 150 and then turn it off. Now you're gonna pop those in our proofer for about 45 minutes so that they proof faster, because otherwise it takes like an hour and a half and I don't got time for that. While we're getting all nice and puffy, let's whip up a dreamy cream cheese frosting. Blend cream cheese, butter, vanilla, salt, and powdered sugar until it's super dreamy and creamy. Dreamy, creamy. From my testing experience, avoid using this frosting inside the bombs. It might be tempting, don't do it. It tends to dissolve and leave a cavity. Instead, we'll frost them on top later. But stick around and I'll show you some Cinnabons that are stuffed with cream cheese filling that holds up perfectly. Our Cinnabons have finished proofing, and here's that secret ingredient. You're gonna pour heavy cream on top. I know it sounds weird, but it works. Promise. Sprinkle that irresistible crumb topping that we made earlier and slide them into the oven at 375 degrees for 25 minutes. Mwah! Look, that is golden perfection. Once they're out, pipe the cream cheese frosting on top. Let them cool just a bit before indulging, if you can. And there you have it, our Apple Betty Cinnamon Bombs, a delightful fusion of flavors and textures. Thank you for joining me in the kitchen today, where we've transformed simple ingredients into a true masterpiece. Don't forget to subscribe for more mouth-watering recipes and cooking fun. Until next time, happy cooking.